Están siendo envenenados. Con el peor virus.
Un nuevo mundo es posible. Un nuevo mundo es posible cuando sembramos para cultivar las enseñanzas de un pasado, la sabiduría de un anciano, el derecho y el deber de cada ciudadano. Soy el joven, el viejo, el agricultor, la esperanza, la entrega, el trabajador. Bailo una música serena, rumbera, eterna sandunguera, de penas, oportunidades y metas accesibles. Un nuevo mundo es posible. Un nuevo mundo es posible.
El asesino están siendo envenenados con el peor virus, el de la esclavitud. Están siendo envenenados.
Boom. Laundry day. Why is it laundry day? Because we got electricity yesterday. And there's a whole bunch of laundry to be done. First announcement. The second announcement is today we're going to interview Porto Rick. It's going to be in the house in collaborative Boricuas, CalaBoricuas, ColaBoricans, CalaBoricanos. We're going to be doing an interview again, as we did last week, with Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa, for being our first guest. This is going to be a project that we're going to continue doing. The idea is in the next 3-4 weeks before the Novembre midterm election, our Boricuas on the island and our Boricuas in the Diaspora, the 11 million strong around the world, can have conversations. Yeah, this is, look, laundry. We can have conversations about our Boricuaness and our needs and our the marginalization. We can talk about reparations. We can talk about repatriation. We can talk about Jones Act. We can talk about all these things that affect the Boricuas in-house and the Boricuas out. We're 11 million strong, which means that's a lot of votes, which means that's a lot of influence, which means we need to take advantage of that. This is probably the most important midterm election in recent history, and I'm talking about the U.S. midterm elections. We've mentioned before that if for some reason President Biden does not have a hold the majority in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, he doesn't have majority now in the Senate, but if for some reason, and everything seems to go in that direction, the Democratic Party does not hold power, this is going to be a very interesting 2 years of Mr. Biden's lame duck presidency. So this is a very important time. That's why you see Mr. Biden running around all over the place trying to take pictures with babies and taking photo ops and the whole nine. Because if he loses, basically the whole party loses, and this is going to be a 2 years of lame ducking, which means he's not going to get anything done. So we have decided to become a unit, a Puerto Rican unit around the world, talk about our issues, force our issues, and make sure that the Democrats and Republicans take this Puerto Rican community serious. This is the right time. This is the right moment. 11 million strong votants. Not on the island we don't vote, but we can vote. Our diaspora votes, and that's about 8 million up there alone. So we're going to have these conversations with community leaders from Puerto Rico. We're going to have these conversations for community leaders from different states in the U.S. We're going to have this conversation so we can explain to people, mostly these candidates, Republicans and Democrats, because we ain't telling you who to vote for. We're going to tell you, or we're going to explain to you what the voting means and what the power and how it distributes, and explain to the Boricuas on the U.S. mainland that voting in this election, primero, negociando, we have to negotiate as every other community does. I mean, the Israeli community does this, the Jewish, the black community does this, all communities do this. So Boricuas, we need to unite. That's what we're talking about, CollaBoricans, you know what I'm talking about? So we're going to be today interviewing a Porto Rick. Porto Rick is in the house, he's a poet, he's a leader, he's a community activist. He's been in this for a long time. We've been known each other for, I think, more than 2 decades now. So 10:30 today, We're going to do a live stream where all of you can even participate, send questions, talk to each other, and talk to us about how Puerto Rico and this whole Biden visit and this whole midterm election thing needs to happen, all right, for our communities. We're having a social crisis, economic crisis, we're having an educational crisis on the island, we're having a corruption crisis on the island. All that stuff is happening, so we need to talk about this. 10:30 with Porto Rick, gonna be here. See you soon, people. All right, vamos a hacer esto otra vez. Estamos haciendo una conexión live stream. Esto se llama Boricua Connection o Connect Boricua o Collaborative Boricuas o Boricua en la colaboración. Estamos haciendo una serie de entrevistas desde Puerto Rico hacia cualquier estado o nación del mundo. Y hoy tenemos con nosotros a Yari Párez y voy a intentar conectarlo con el live stream. Estamos haciendo esta colaboración, una colaboración entre boricuas de la isla y boricuas en el exterior, en cualquier parte del mundo, por varias razones. Queremos asegurarnos que el mundo sepa que los boricuas están pendientes unos de los otros. Esto ha sido constante y sonante durante los 500 años, 400 años o los 120 años de colonialismo norteamericano, ¿no? Esta colaboración de las ayudas, por ejemplo, de nuestros puertorriqueños. I have to make a shout out to el boxing rink, el maestro allá en Nueva York, porque estuve cuando María y ellos un montón de gente, pero ellos precisamente tenían un montón de vagones grandísimos para enviarlos a Puerto Rico y que hicieron ellos como muchos otros de California, de Chicago, nuestros hermanos allá en el Community Center de Chicago, don José, gracias por su atención siempre y nuestra admiración para usted y para todo su equipo de trabajo. Hemos tenido una constante ayuda y atención y cuidado de nuestros hermanos allá. Esta colaboración que estamos haciendo ahora, CalaBoricuas, esta colaboración boricua, Collaborative Boricua, tiene la intención de aportar a esta próxima midterm election. Esta midterm election que va a ser muy importante para... I told you, yeah, baby. We do this. We do this. Yeah, baby, that's the way to do it. Yeah.
Right.
That's it. Oh, shit, I'm scared of you, papá, that's it.
Ahora sí.
Pues mira, estamos streameando. Te voy a decir, este stream you can share. Vanessa está viéndonos desde Filadelfia y nos está dando instrucciones a los dos.
Vanessa.
Sí, está ahí, esa es tremenda boricua, Vanessa María.
I heard the interview you guys did. Awesome, Vanessa. Love the work you do.
Me too. Very proud of you. Very proud of all of you, especially, man. I feel like I'm so gifted because I've met these wonderful people in my life. Anyway, mira, entonces, lo que estamos diciendo es, you can share too. You can share it to the people that you are on the link. On the bottom, it says share. You can share that to the people on your Facebook. So they'll get the message that you're live now. They probably already got it. Déjame empezar desde el principio, como dirían, ¿verdad? Aquí estamos con Porto Rick, aquí estamos con nuestro amigo Yari Párez. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Esta es la segunda parte. And we're going to go from Spanglish all the way because I want people who are there to listen to what we're saying. I also want people to understand it from different perspectives. So we can do the Spanglish, no matter you're Spanish or English, whatever you want to throw out there, we're good.
Listen.
Here's where we left off. I want to do some more poetry. So what, you got something around there, my brother? You can grab on right now and just book it through.
Yeah, I wanted to start off with that. So I'm gonna start off with one. Mi Puerto Rico. For Puerto Rico means so much to us, even though many were not lucky to have been born there. We love you and hold you close to our hearts. For you are part of us and we are part of you. No importa la distancia ni el mal que nos separa, for it does not matter the ocean that separates us. What matters is that you know how much you mean to us. Eres la razón por la cual te escribo estas palabras y las musas me conquistan el alma. You are the reason that I write these words and the muses take over my soul. Puerto Rico, somos tus hijos y hijas, nacidos de madre y padres que te dejaron, pensando que el sueño americano fue creado para ellos y en vez de llegar a la gran manzana, cayeron en la gran mentira. Pero sin saberlo, nos sembraron en la casa del enemigo para cosechar la venganza y implantar tu bandera, donde sea que estuviéramos. Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico. I am you, for the blood that runs through my veins are composed of the same DNA, coming from way back in the day, from the Arawaks, Taínos, as well as the blood of our brothers and sisters from Mother Africa with a touch of the conquistadores. Puerto Rico, I am that warrior who is often possessed with the spirits of Albizu, Filiberto, and Agüebaná. Nosotros respiramos, comemos, sentimos, vivimos, nos enamoramos, soñamos y pensamos, Puerto Rico. Te cargamos en nuestros corazones. That is why when the heavens grew dark and gray and the rain and wind started to hit with all its intensity, destroying everything in its path, my heart sank. For Mother Nature released her wrath on you with full force, almost knowing me as though it knew that you were being beaten down long before she decided to hit us with her mighty blows. But she failed to realize that just like our fighters, we are a resilient people who know struggle and do not accept defeat easily. Puerto Rico, you are my shining star, and I know we will rise up from the rubble and take what is ours, for we have been fighting against a much deadlier storm for more than 100 years, and we are still going. This is our opportunity to take what is ours, to save our Puerto Rico, no matter what they would like us to believe, for we are a nation worth fighting for and saving. Puerto Rico is like no other, for its people have endured more than just hurricanes, but alienation, discrimination, neglect, massacres, contamination, sterilization, bombings, murders, and much, much more. It is time to hear our coqui once again. It is time to see the sunset on our beautiful beaches. It is time to laugh. It is time for our people to dance and laugh to the sounds of the salsa tan sabrosa y caliente. It is time to raise that Puerto Rican flag high up in the air while the bomba y plena toca nuestras historias de nuestra gente. Puerto Rico se levantará. Puerto Rico will once again rise. Puerto Rico libre. I love you, mi querida Iso.
Thank you, my brother. Oye, mira, te voy a decir algo que I keep thinking, right? I keep thinking that a lot of the stuff that the reason why we connect, and it's probably because there's something spiritual behind everything and every single person that has somehow crossed our path, right? I was looking into something called the Creots. I think you've heard of the Creots. Is the tradition of African storytelling.
Yep.
And I started to look at that, and I started to say, oh my God, we have been
foundations of hip hop, poetry. Yep.
And how is it that like as children, you, myself, you know, and most of the poets that we know that are of this generation, because the ones before us, like the Piri Tomas de la Vida and the Algarins and all these wonderful poets, how all these people were fulfilling the Creole creed. You know, it's just like walking in that direction. We continue to share our history using our poetry, our word, our cuentos, our, you know, just, oh my God. And to think that that's part of our genetic making and construction is just so impressive to me. Because I know that I had heard of it, but I didn't know that it was a family or it was part of a clan. It was a way of life. I know other, you know, it's incredible, impressionante.
Story and share their legacy. That's how the legacy kept going, through the storytelling. It was the way they kept the culture moving, the language, everything that made them up.
Beautiful. It's just incredible how in somehow, some way, we're also fulfilling, and it's something that also gives you a certain level of self-esteem, because you start to think about and question everything that you do. Why is it that I want to do this? I mean, why is it that I want to do poetry and I want to be part of the movement? Why is it that I want to tell the story? Why is it that I want to be on stage feeling and sharing these emotions with people? What makes me so, I don't know, different? But then you start to understand that it's more than just you. You are part of a whole, and you are fulfilling. You are fulfilling your responsibility within this whole thing. I mean, the boxers and the writers and the politicians and the dancers, but you have something to contribute, which is, what is it that we do? We do this. You know, we share our emotions, and we have the capabilities of, maybe, I don't know if everyone does. I think everyone does, but I think that it's, for me, a necessity to do it. Like you, I mean, I don't know how to live without it. I don't know how to live without the poetry. I don't know how to live without the storytelling. I don't know how to live without the writing. And people, and how to explain that to, I don't know, to other people. It's like, why is it that you want to keep doing it? Why don't you do something different? No, I can do something different. I can do anything. I'm not limited to anything that I can do.
We're capable of anything. Yes.
Yeah, you know, talking about this, like Mariposa and all these other poets, Luis Diaz. I mean, there's all these. Wow, and this generation, because I remember meeting. I want to share this with you. I've shared this with a lot of people. I remember meeting Piri Thomas for the first time. About, I don't even know. I mean, I'm thinking maybe I was like 19, so I'm 50 now, 54, whatever. And I remember meeting him in San Francisco, and without him even conversing with me, I was going towards where he was at, because they said, look, that's the poet who got invited. He's going to be part of there was a Three Kings Day. That's important because, that's important because it also connects that dimension of the Three Kings to our meeting, right? And I was walking towards him, and once I get to him, ¿Cómo está, maestro? This is what I tell him. ¿Cómo está, maestro? And what he says to me, then you'll understand this. What he said to me was like, I've been waiting for you. And I was like, the fuck? I'm in my head. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't even know me. And he was like, I've been waiting for you. And then everything that came after that just made more and more sense, because it was like also giving, like passing it on. It's like, this is, and going back to that generation and that genetic thing, and that there's a responsibility that you have, and I'm give it to you. I was so, and ever since then, it's just been like, I don't care what anything else. I mean, I don't care what anyone else wants you to be. You are this, and this is what you. And that's why I hear from you when I hear you doing your poetry earlier, and now it's like, this is what we were born to do. This is what we need to do to be able to contribute to our decolonization, our education of the next generations, our luchas, our self-esteem as a country, our affirmative Boricuanos, Boricua affirmative. It's all that and even more. I'm so happy that we can have this conversation. And talk to all the Boricuas that are going to hear us or see us in the next few weeks, in the next few months, or in the next few years. This is the way to be. This is how correct it is. This is how it should be. So there's no shame on any of this. This is what makes us grandeur. This is what makes us part of the hip hop movement. This is what makes us part of the salsa movement. This is what makes us part of all the political schemes. This is what schemes and presentations and ideas and fluctuations. Thank you, Porto Rick. Thank you for that. And
thank you so much for having me on and share my thoughts and share my artistry and the powerful message behind it all. You know, it all carries a message. All this has purpose, whether to educate, inspire, motivate. You know, it's all connected. It's all connected to each and every one of us, right? We're all connected in this, on this planet. You know, so and we all have a duty. We have a duty. We have a purpose. Tenemos un propósito. Y cada uno de nosotros tenemos un propósito. Sea lo que sea, somos parte de algo más grande, como Raul Moris compartió. Tener esa experiencia con Piri Tomás, it's beautiful. And it's, you know, it's inspiring. Y nosotros tenemos que motivarnos uno al otro, ¿verdad? Inspirarnos uno al otro, educarnos, enseñarnos. Cada uno nacemos con un talento. Every one of us. I tell my youth that every day. Yo se lo digo a la juventud. Sea que tú lo tengas despertado o no lo ha encontrado todavía, todo el mundo tiene algún talento o lo otro, ¿verdad? Sea trabajar con la mano, sea escritura, sea el canto, sea proveerle servicios a otras personas de ayuda, tú sabes, siendo servicial, sea un educador, sea un político. Nosotros somos capaces de cualquier cosa. Y eso es lo que tenemos que creer. We have Isabel. And that's why in the beginning, during the radio interview, I mentioned those 3 destructive forms of thinking. Yo mencioné en el principio los 3 maneras de pensamiento destructivo que yo siempre digo que tenemos que trabajar con eso y sacar de nuestra mente que somos una isla pequeña, que somos así de pequeña y no podemos hacer nada, que no tenemos recursos naturales. ¿Cómo es que vamos a sobrevivir, tú sabes, aquí solo e independiente? Eso jamás podemos hacer. Oh my God, vamos a morir de hambre aquí, nos van, tú sabes, a abusar. Y que necesitamos la dependencia. Y yo sé que son cosas que hemos sido condicionados por siglos, no años, siglos, ¿verdad? Sobre 100 años o más, sobre 200 años, tenemos que ir para atrás, ¿verdad? De la esclavitud de nuestra gente indígena y el uso de los esclavos, ¿verdad? De África. So, el puertorriqueño tenemos que creer y saber que podemos echar para adelante no matter what. Y tenemos a nosotros, ¿verdad? Nosotros somos algo más grande de lo que ustedes piensan, ¿verdad? Desde la diáspora acá de los Estados Unidos hasta en la isla y mundial, no nada más en los Estados Unidos. Tenemos puertorriqueños en Japón, ¿verdad? Tuvimos uno hasta en la luna. Tenemos puertorriqueños astronautas. Mira, estamos en todos lados. Somos una fuerza y cuidado. Y quería mencionar, nosotros hasta acá estamos ayudando a nuestros hermanos y hermanas latinos de Latinoamérica ahora que están peleando contra, ¿verdad?, la inmigración y eso. Nosotros hemos sido una fuerza desde hace tiempo aquí. Nosotros hacemos mover pólizas, que es importante, ¿verdad?, que lo afecta a nuestros hermanos y hermanas en la isla. Hemos tenido esta batalla desde el principio, desde acá, peleando y luchando por nuestra patria.
Yo estoy de acuerdo 100% contigo y me parece que quería precisamente esta idea de hacer un Boricua African Creole crew where we can maybe do like a circuit and like I'm gonna go to New York sometime in the next weeks or so maybe we can meet and then I can, you know, we can contribute doing something something that we can, porque me sigo tropezando con esa responsabilidad y que antes entendía que era solamente mía para mí, pero no es para mí, sino que es más que para mí, para la comunidad, es para mi clan, es para mi gente, ¿no? Entonces, uno a veces dice, pero a lo mejor this is too much responsibility. I mean, well, no, it isn't. No, it's you don't have it isn't like you can choose it. It's already yours. So you got to do with it what you need to do with it, which is contribute to your clan, contribute to your peoples. And my peoples is not just my Boricuas. My people go beyond that, as you and everyone else, every one of us know that this is not just, you know, it's not just an ethnicity or racial thing. It's bigger than that, because it's a world thing. It's a one family thing, you know, beyond that. I'm gonna continue with these projects. There's something that just came out of nowhere. I mean, the idea of having conversations with the brothers and sisters. The idea is about focusing on this midterm election, right? But it needs to go beyond that. It needs to continue beyond that. So like I said, I'm going to be in New York City in the next few weeks. If you got anything that's already being done or talked about for before or after, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be there for too long, because I'm going for medical reasons also, to check myself out and all that stuff. So we can work on that. I wanted to talk about repatriation, the concept of the idea of making a call back to our people to come back to the island. I know that I mentioned the Israeli people and Israel as a state that at one time said, listen, all of my Jew people around the world, you got a home, you can come back whenever you want. You don't have to live here, you don't have to stay here, but you got a home. This is your land, this is your. So I was thinking, we have never, I don't remember anyone making a repatriation call out to our Boricuas around the world, because we're used to migrating, emigrating, you know,
right, going out.
And we've had huge migrations in the 50s, 40s, and 50s. We had huge migrations in the 70s. We're having a huge migration now of people leaving, but I've never heard.
Not because they want, not because they want to.
No,
because of the conditions that created. Yeah.
Forced migrations inspired with political means and reasons, because the idea for the 50s was what you mentioned earlier, the Operation Bootstrap, and lo que se llamó manos a la obra, that wasn't manos a la obra, was sácate para afuera puertorriqueño, vamos a tenerte allá cogiendo tomate, te vamos a tener allá haciendo en Washington qué sé yo qué, y para Hawái en los 1800, métete para Hawái para allá coger la piña. All that stuff is real. That's happened to us, right? So the idea of repatriating is making a callback and saying, Puerto Ricans, I was talking to Vanessa about that last week. It's like, even if you don't live on the island, you should invest on the island, making a purchase of property, because that's gonna guarantee. You know, we're having this issue about the possibilities that's well implemented right now. We're seeing it, of gentrification, how people are coming in and replacing. That's happened before, but this time looks like it's a lot more organized, right? And it's real. And you're seeing it in certain communities, like de momento, wow, what happened? And I had never seen people in the supermarket, you know, speaking in different languages, and now you're seeing it. So that's happening. And I'm not one to say, no, you're not welcome in my, of course you're welcome. We Puerto Ricans are the perfect genetic experiment. I mean, we have influences from everywhere. So when they throw us out there and they go, the genetic map, you got everything from, you know, from Africa to European to whatever, German to whatever. That's why we're so beautiful. I mean, I got to say it. That's why we're so beautiful, right? Because of our genetic pool. So I know that's not going to be my argument. My argument is not get out. No, my argument is you're here, but you want to be part of us. You're not going to create, you know, a little colonia proper part of what we are. You know, this is a story that I tell when I have these conversations with different people, with different cultures that live on the island. I tell them, we have 3 kings from 3 different
parts of
continents. To go visit a Jewish child a Jewish Palestinian child. I mean, you can't get any more welcoming than that. I mean, you got the I don't know if any other culture. I know the other Latinos also practice los tres Reyes Magos. I know that, but we're not just three kings. I mean, they're not just three wise men. They're three kings that are going to visit a Jewish Palestinian child. So that whole concept is like, wow, yeah, this is what we are as a gene pool, right? As a collective, as an ethnicity. So I don't argue. I don't argue to get out. I don't argue you're not welcome. I don't argue that part. What I do discuss and expect is be a part of. Don't create your little clique of people and not be a part of.
Respect what we establish. Don't try to push us out, push us away. You know, through the high rents and inflating the rent, trying to get us away and push us away, and just take what we've fought so hard for and long, right? Which is establishing our roots and our place in a location that didn't want us there to begin with, and now they don't want us there again. So these are forgotten neighborhoods, right? At once, because you're seeing like places in Brooklyn, places that people never want to, certain people didn't want to go to or were afraid to go to, right?
The Bronx.
That were known as, you know, violence, and they were just known that's where those people live. That, you know, we're not going over there. And now they want us out because it's prime real estate. So
I remember, you know, the Koch years, the Mayor Koch years, that was getting, that the strategy was to get all the people out of rent control in the Bronx, because they wanted to, they burnt the buildings down. They burnt the buildings down with people in the motherfuckers, you know, like that. That's the reality of what happened to us, you know. And we're talking about our negros, comunidad negra, la comunidad boricua, la comunidad cubana, all these other Mexicanos that were there in the same communities. They were burning our communities down, mostly boricuas and black, right?
Right.
That was real. So I'm seeing it from that experience. I'm looking at Puerto Rico and going, yeah, that shit could happen on the island, because it happened to Hawaii. I talked to my brothers in Hawaii. I talked to my brothers in Guam a month ago. They have an independence in a movimiento independentista in Guam. There's a movimiento independentista in Hawaii who want their country back. You know, they came in here, they kicked out our queen, and they took our land, and they invaded us, and now we can't even buy a mobile home, you know? And people living in the beaches or in the parks or in the streets because they can't afford it. So that shit cannot happen. Right. It cannot happen on the island. And my argument is like, that's why I keep preaching the repatriation, because you can buy a property on the island. Probably most people, and this is just across the board in the US, the probabilities of this generation, the one that follows us, the generation that comes after us, won't have the opportunity to be purchased, because now there's these BlackRock things going on and this Vanguard thing going on, that they're buying everything else. And if you want to buy a home, you know, 1-bedroom home, 400, 500, 600,000, yo, that's not gonna happen, because it's not gonna happen. So what I'm saying is that Puerto Rico is that option. You know, they're trying to come in here too, right? They're already here, by the way. The Vanguard and the BlackRock, they're already here. But we can contrarrestar, we can fight against that invasion by us, all 8 million or 11 million of us, buying Puerto Rico. And then buy here, and if you want to rent it or if you want to Airbnb it, is you, Boricua, who's going to make the money from that experience. Right. And then they can't buy you out because it's yours. And if you're in the US, the probabilities of you getting some property, owning your own, I mean, my father and mother never had that opportunity. I was born in the Bronx, and they worked their ass off their whole entire life and could never buy a property because it was never accessible, you know.
Right.
Even if it was a little bit difficult, even though you had 3 jobs and shit, you know, no matter what you do, you're not making ends meet. And I know there's a lot of brothers and sisters going through that right now.
Yeah. Yes.
So repatriation. So calling our brothers and sisters out. Listen, come back. You know, come back. You don't have to come and live, but at least you have a place to come and stay. It'll probably be cheaper than paying hotel. You know, and then being the resistance from that perspective, from the economical perspective, because the colonialism is more than just changing the name. It's also occupying everything, because they occupied the economic role, they occupied the education, they occupied the cultural thing.
They have a structure that we just got to bring down. That's a whole structure that they've implemented for a long time. You know, it was a diabolical plan that was implemented a long time ago. You know, we can't even trade with any country that we want to, because, you know, created a chokehold on our economy. And we saw that clearly when Maria hit, right? Canada wanted to send its pharmaceutical, right, medicine, and they weren't allowed to. The vessels
they weren't allowed
to come in. You know, people from other places wanted to help us, and they weren't allowed to because
they
of
weren't
these
allowed. That's crazy.
Ignorant, racist policies that were implemented long ago, like the Jones Act. So
genocide. We're still on full-fledged genocidal, you know, attack, because these people are right now. We don't even know exactly how many people have died. We don't even know. They're still looking for people, you know. And usually people die when it comes to these events, post the event, you know, because they can't get the food, because their depression, because they don't have the medicine, because they can't get out of their homes for whatever reason, because, you know, whatever, floods or bridges, or still that electricity. How do you talk about not having electricity, you know, whatever, 20 somewhat days later? That shit is crazy. And during Maria, okay, you go, okay, that was a category 5, 4, you know, came in, destroyed everything. All right. That makes a little more sense. It still didn't make more sense to have a year of non-electricity. That shit ain't making no sense at all. But and I know that was part of the push too, because, you know, behind all this, there's that Naomi Klein, we're gonna, you know, disaster of capitalism, where we need to. This is not. They're looking at it as an opportunity.
Let it be destroyed. Let it
be destroyed.
You know, go down so we could go in, swoop in like saviors, and just, you know, do what we want with it, make some money, flip it, you know.
Katrina, man, Katrina, let them float in the river. We don't give a fuck. It don't matter to me. They're floating in the river. It don't matter how long before we get there. And I was like, no, it can't it's just not gonna happen. This is why the idea of having these conversations and sharing this, because we're feeling it. I know you guys are feeling us, and feeling the stress of being in the diaspora and seeing what's happening on the island. That shit's gotta be painful, bro. Because you're like, my mom, my grandmother, mi hermano, mi hermana, they're up there suffering, and what you mean you ain't got no electricity?
You're over here with light, food, everything, and you're like, oh my God, you know, I can't but see my people in such, you know, dire, right, conditions, and it hurts. And that's why, and I guess that's why we are quick to jump into action and try to pull together the resources that we have available to us.
Absolutely.
And that's why we go out to the streets. Right now, we have organizations on the street in New York, you know, to get no aluma, pal carajo luma. You know, what they doing? They're pillaging our island. You know, un dineral, providing no service at all.
None.
Right?
None.
I think they're just like this. Let it go down. We'll just keep making money. We'll just keep making money off them. And the politicians, some of them don't care, right? Because they're coming off with a lovely, their paycheck isn't getting affected. So
that's so closing. I want to thank you for coming back to my life, my brother. Really, I mean,
and thank you know,
oh man, and like I said, I'm going to be there in a few weeks, so we can maybe somehow connect maybe have some coffee or a slice of pizza or whatever.
Yeah,
and,
brother. Yeah.
And we have see how we gonna do this Kriya tour, man. You know, nationwide or worldwide Kriya tour. You know, a Boricua Kriya. You know, that'd be awesome, bro.
Yes, it will be a beautiful movement to get going.
So throw your digits or whatever. Your contacts so people can get in contact with you, and we close this out.
Can I put it in the chat? I can put it in the chat.
You could. You can do whatever you want. This is your casa, bro.
Ok, voy a poner mi información en el chat para que se comuniquen conmigo y el website so you guys can check it out.
I see you live streaming every week now.
Let me get it.
There you go. That works. Y a todos los que nos están viendo, escuchando, lo pueden ver desde el principio. Hay 2 entrevistas. La primera, que es la radial que hicimos hace como media hora atrás. Esta es la segunda parte. Porto Rick es uno de nuestros orgullos boricua allá, que es un profesor, un profesional que es consejero, que también es poeta, performero, escritor, y es un tipo que está haciendo una contribución a nivel país, a nivel mundo, con nuestras futuras generaciones, las de nosotros los boricuas y las que son de nuestros, como dicen, estos hijos no importa que sean de quién es el país, no importa, son todos míos. Entonces, quiero agradecer que estuviste conmigo en esta segunda transmisión, porque la primera fue con Vanessa María y ahora con Porto Rick. Look. Oh, wait, adelanto. Dilcia Pagan said she wants on, so imagine that. I mean, boom.
Awesome.
I mean, Dilcia next week. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Oh,
gracias, mi hermano. Yeah, bro.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be awesome, brother.
Next week. Gracias, mi hermano. Un abrazo. Cuídate mucho y bendiciones.
Adelante.
Están siendo envenenados con el peor virus.
Un nuevo mundo es posible. Un nuevo mundo es posible. Cuando sembramos para cultivar las enseñanzas de un pasado, la sabiduría de un anciano, el derecho y el deber de cada ciudadano. Soy el joven, el viejo, el agricultor, la esperanza, la entrega, el trabajador. Bailo una música serena, rumbera, eterna sandunguera, de penas, oportunidades y metas accesibles. Un nuevo mundo es posible. Un nuevo mundo es posible.
El asesino es